ladies and gentlemen, code breakers around the world, wherever you may be. My name is Logan. I'm going to be your tour guide for this presentation on the topic of transhumanism. This is the second time that we've done this presentation, but with a new, fresh set of eyes, more activities going on in the world, personal experiences, and just really revelations in the world of forensic decoding. We're going to do this one again, and I promise you, this one will blow you away. So try to make it all the way to the end. I don't know how long this one's going to be, but this one will put things into perspective in a very big way. So I've been working on this presentation for quite some time. I actually started this all the way back in April of 2025, and I visited a friend of mine in LA, and when I did, I decided to take a ride in one of these Waymo cars. It was a very short ride, but it was very, very interesting, and it really showed me what the wave of the future is going to look like. These cars, if you've ever been in them, they're very tentative, they're very cautious. Obviously the beginning stages, it really does take its time. It's very conservative. So this is what got me started on this presentation. And let's kind of jump into the meat and potatoes of this. And, transhumanism, are we moving into that? I know a lot of you here don't want to move into that. You don't like the technology. You still like your paperback books. You don't like the Kindles. You're not into some of the Aquarian Age things. Some of you not really liking the technology, not really digging the cell phones that much. Some of you may be technologically challenged. I have a few friends that just really, when they're around technology, it just doesn't work the way it does around other people that kind of really just naturally are gifted at it. But I try to get this image, kind of what I think this new world that we're moving into is going to look like. I don't know if it's going to look this clean and pure, but the idea here is this center point being the nucleus, and this is kind of that hive mind aspect. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, these are positions of theories. I'm going to give you a ton of evidence to support perhaps what it's going to look like moving forward. And I know it's going to blow you away, but just try to keep an open mind, without any biasy, without any expectations, anything like that. But then we get into really the cyborg aspect. And is this where we're going for humankind? And if you ask me, it's an absolute yes, that this is where we're going. It's already happening. There are massive benefits. I'm trying to look at the optimism behind it, not the pessimism. Obviously, moving into that Minority Report situation, crime prevention unit, things tightening up. Yes, there will be what people would consider a loss of privacy, but what comes with that, obviously, the optimism is, you can't really commit crimes. IDs, trying to do fraud and all this kind of stuff will seemingly be a thing of the past. So there are some major benefits of this Aquarian Age. And ladies and gentlemen, the Piscean Age, if we really go back to what it means to be a human being, the Piscean Age was a water sign, and it was the biology of the body. But when you move into the Aquarian Age, you move into the air. You move out of water and you move into air, and now you get into data streams, technology, and man moving into machine. Whereas the Piscean Age was maybe the last sign of the zodiac to keep, the body intact, where you're flesh and blood only. This would be carbon-based life forms, but this is a layer of silica, because silicon being tied to sand, us being tied to the dust of the earth, the sands of time. But now you move into this silicon chip, which is the silicon capital of the world, Silicon Valley. And now you're meshing the silicon chip with the biology of the body. And this is where you get the Neuralink idea and, all this kind of stuff. And if you really start to look at how the transformation of cell phones are going to look. We're going to get into that a little bit later on, but let's continue on and kind of talk about this. And maybe this is where Westworld got its idea from. And the merging of this implant in the body. And I personally think there's already an implant in your body. It's called your brain. And the ideas that you have, the thoughts you have, certainly you're having the thoughts, but they're not yours. We don't know where they're coming from, but we do know that we're having them, but we're not in control of them, because you can't shut your thought process off. Even if you start to meditate and focus on your breath, you still have to think about focusing on your breath. And you can't do that for long periods of time. You have to actually live your life, and that involves moving through these thoughts. So let's get into the very first topic of this presentation, called Brave New World. And it's off of this book, dated all the way back to 1932. And it's fascinating because for me, it's connected to my birthday. I was born on February 4th, 1973, and this book came out on the same day. Different year, obviously. And the day on the calendar is really what's important. On the Gregorian calendar, February 4th is the 35th day of the year. And if you go to numerology, where are we at here? If we go to numerology and we type in the word simulation, you're going to get 35. And February 4th is the 35th day of the year. Okay, so there's that aspect. A lot of people are talking about this simulation thing. Okay, holographic simulation, etc., etc. But when we get into the playing cards and then the tarot cards and how they give us the signs and symbols of what it looks like, it gives us another layer, like a bridge, a storyboard. And the February 4th tarot card from the Gregorian calendar is the Eight of Swords, the Eight of Spades. And you can see that it's trapped and limited card, right? Kind of being in a prison, if you will. So while I had this recreated, and I think that this fits it much more pertinent here. It's a much better image than just this. This is kind of the early 1900s. This is 2025 version. The Eight of Swords, and instead of the blindfold, it has a VR headset on, and it's, it's being held down by circuit boards, and the idea is the cyborg here. And those of you that are on the Patreon and you're following along, those of you that have done the Spotlight course, we came out with a new system called the True Nature system, and when you reconfigure the tarot cards, the 44th card is the Eight of Swords, which matches to the word transhumanism. So I know this is a really kind of big thing, and of course here I am presenting this topic to all of you, and I was born on the same day this book, Brave New World, came out. So when we look at Mr. Huxley being born on the 26th of July, 1894, there is his birth card, his Gregorian birth card. It's the Two of Clubs, which converts into the Two of Wands, which this is the card of the futurist. So we're now looking at the Brave New World, and of course this book is based on a dystopian world. He follows it up with a utopian counterpart called Island in 1962, but this was a dystopian book. And, are we in the Yuga called the Iron Age? Are we still in the Kali Yuga stage? Well, that's to be debatable, but clearly his birth card is the futurist card. He was talking about the future. And the man that shares that same birth card, born on June 28th, is none other than Mr. Elon Musk. And I have the word beast there because the Two of Clubs in the Gregorian system, this card is the 15th card. In the True Nature, it's the second card, but that's for a different story. But the Gregorian card tied to the Two of Wands, this is going to be card number 24 in the tarot. 24 hours in a day. So Mr. Elon Musk shares the same card as Mr. Huxley, who talks about the Brave New World. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not a secret that Elon Musk is all about transhumanism, because transhumanism is involving the Neuralink, which is a big layer to his screenplay. He's got Tesla, self-driving cars, the rockets. He's very much into futuristic aspects. And does it not fit him to a T? I most certainly think it does. So let's get into the astrology now for this transhumanism topic and Brave New World. So Brave New World, again, comes out on February 4th, 1932. And so here it is. Here is the stellarium, the most accurate of the sky, the canopy. We're now getting into astronomy, not just astrology. It doesn't matter what the time is. It's not going to throw any of this off. And you can see that on February 4th, the sun is in Capricorn. If you're born on February 4th, you are a Capricorn sun. But you see, the anomaly here with the astronomy is that the arm of Aquarius kind of gradually goes over some of Capricorn. And I think this is why Kronos is the co-ruler of Aquarius. Aquarius, once Uranus was discovered, it became the ruler of Aquarius, but still Capricorn, or Kronos, is still that traditional ruler. And I think this is one of the reasons why the arm, Saddle Sud, the star, the main star of Aquarius, the arm overlaps onto Capricorn, and I think that may just be the reason why. But anyway, February 4th, being a Capricorn sun, I still think it's going to be influenced by Aquarius. So if you are born around February 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, I would even say, to the extent you'd be a blend of Aquarius and Capricorn, but officially in the sign of Capricorn. And when you look at the Chinese astrology and you blend it together, well, 1931 to 1932 was the metal goat. So again, this book coming out on February 4th, 1932, and it literally just beat the end date of the metal goat. So the Brave New World book, written by Huxley, is officially a book assigned to the metal goat. Now I want you to think about this, because transhumanism, ladies and gentlemen, is about man merging with metal, man merging with machine. And the book comes out on a Chinese year of the metal goat. And again, the sun on February 4th, when that book came out, being in Capricorn, which is the goat. There are no accidents with this. Now, you can definitely postulate maybe Huxley was a fan of Chinese astrology. But you see, unless he docked up his birthday, which I don't know the reason why that would be, like trying to get one past you, trying to mock you, I just don't see the advantage of that. I don't even see the logical reason why somebody would do that. So, of course, you know how my take is. We live in a scripted reality. Huxley doing his job. Elon Musk doing what he incarnated to do. You doing what you incarnated to do. So the metal goat being tied to the Brave New World, the book coming out when the sun is in Capricorn, and we're talking about man merging with metal. Okay, the metal goat. Capricorn, the ruler of time. So when you get into the actual theological astrology of this, the astrotheology, this is where it gets super clear and very, very interesting. This is Luke chapter 22, verses 10. And this is Jesus talking to his 12 disciples, all of these men at the table and women at the table. And this is, the apostles asking him, hey, where are you going to be? Where can we find you? This is during the Passover. What does Passover mean? Well, it's the passing from one age to the next. This is astrological. So Jesus coming during the age of Pisces and telling his disciples, when you enter into the city is the entire zodiac wheel, there shall be a man to meet you bearing a pitcher of water. That is Aquarius. Keep in mind that the only man of the zodiac is Aquarius. There is no other man in the 12 houses. We do have Gemini there. You can say Castor and Pollux, but those are the brothers, the twins. I'm talking about a single man, and the only man is Aquarius. That's because, see, Jesus, when he came during the age of Pisces, and if you know your theology, he said, hey, my kingdom is not part of this world. Well, yeah, that's because he was talking about following him into the house of Aquarius. So this is kind of really the overview of what this means. This is allegorical now. This is energetically. The city that you enter into is the entire zodiac wheel. This is the entire city. The man is Aquarius. That's holding the pitcher of water. And the house that you enter into, obviously, is the house of Aquarius. That is what Jesus allegorically was talking about. The Bible is a book about transhumanism. Now, you don't have to agree with me on that, but the evidence is very grandiose, leaning towards that aspect that I'm talking about. So this is the kind of the overview, and here is the scripture from the King James Bible. I'm just using this one just because it's the most popular on the world stage, and it does a decent job at translating. But here is where you get into the alchemy of this. You could say this is theological alchemy. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, as I have done now for how many years we've been doing this, it's all alchemical. Well, when you just take the chapter and verse in question, it's Luke chapter 22 verses 10. Well, we just go to titanium and neon. You see the 22 and 10. And titanium comes from the Titans, which is what we all are. We are the Titans inside the city, seemingly being recycled over and over and over. So the Titans are the chapter, and the verse is neon. And neon comes from the Greek word neos, which means new. So what this scripture means alchemically, it means that the Titans are going to be recycled. It is the recycling of man. Notice that the Chaldean once again comes through. The word recycle is 22, matching the chapter, matching the protons. And then the verse 10 is the man, which is the new man, the neos. And remember, neon is going to be a big part of all this because neon is the neon city. And when you start to study Tron and the grid and everything that they've talked about, well, they used a lot of neon. It's the Titan entering the neon world, which is the new world, the brave new world, the new world order, the new Jerusalem, the new heaven and the new earth. It's the neon earth. So as we continue on with this, to confirm, so you can see with much transparency, neon means new, and the Titans means the ones of earth, the sons and the daughters of the earth, Gaia, born from Gaia. Gaia has dirt. This is where you get the story of dust you are from and dust you shall return. The dust, the dirt, the sand, the silicon. Okay? Very, very easy to see this. So this is where you start to do the molar mass of these elements. And then we get into this next scripture, Revelation 21 verses 23. And this one is very fascinating because it talks about the city not needing any sun. Remember, the city being tied to the zodiac wheel and the house of Aquarius. So it says that there will be no need of the sun, neither of the moon, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb, this is the big thing, is the Lamb is the light. Well, here is the Lamb in Greek. Arnion. The Lamb. And wouldn't you know it that when you do the molar mass addition of titanium and neon from this scripture, Luke 22 verses 10, you get 68. Now, this is not a coincidence, and this is not stretching anything, and this is not opinions. We've done this methodology so many times over so many years now, showing the consistency of how it all works. The new Titan is going to be tied to the Lamb, and the Lamb is the light, and the light is the neon, the artificial light, and you're going to see that as we move through this presentation. So we can look at the number of the beast, and this is a widespread area of discussion. We know the beast being tied to Huxley's birth card, Elon Musk's birth card. It's artificial intelligence, you see. So what is the Lamb that will light the city? Artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the Lamb, ladies and gentlemen. The Bible and the New Testament and Revelation is a book about transhumanism. And you don't have to like me for saying that. You don't have to even agree with me. But you see, the evidence supports what I'm telling you here. And it's not even me telling you this. I take no credit for showing you these connections. This is what I was assigned to do for my role in this life. The Lamb is tied to artificial intelligence, and it is tied to the number of the beast. And this is stating that you will have the recycling of the Titans, and the neon lights are going to pave the way. And that's what artificial, like when you power on your phone, it's artificial light, it's neon. When you power on your phone, you're powering on the Lamb. That's what you're doing. I know people are saying, no, the Lamb is Jesus. Well, Jesus is telling you to follow him into the house of Aquarius. And Aquarius is where you get WWW, technologically advanced societies, self-driving cars, flying cars, smart meters, smartphones, cryptocurrency. This is what we're moving into. This currency turning into digitized dollars and currency and fiat currency, cryptocurrency. This is what we're moving into, folks. This is what the age calls for. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But it is coming, and it is already here. This is already happening, with or without our permission. You cannot do anything. You can go fight, stomp, kick, and scream. You're not going to change the age that's coming. It's already here. This is already going on. It has been going on for quite some time. So the idea here is the neon. The neon from this, the neon, the new Titan, the new city, the Lamb, this is what the Bible is saying is going to provide the light. This is going to provide the light. You see? The neon, the neos, the artificial intelligence. Let's get into the next topic now, the New Jerusalem. Now we're going to go back to the Old Testament. Can't have the New Testament without the Old Testament. Well, we go to the Old Testament, the book of Ezekiel. We go to chapter 48, verses 35, and this is talking about the New Jerusalem. And this is a city that is about 6 miles in diameter, I think it is, if you really do the cubic conversion. Now, could that be a data center? Could that be a server farm? Absolutely it could. It absolutely could. And here is the new name. Here's the New Jerusalem. It's called Yahweh Shammah. That's what it's called. And it has a value of 65. There it is in the original Hebrew. It's going to be called Yahweh Shammah. Okay, Yahweh is there. And I can easily take this Shammah 39 and I can go right back to Chaldean numerology and I can type in the word computer and I get 39. See, so we have a lot of these words memorized and it makes it easy. I know I'm cross-mingling languages, so it can really kind of dilute it a little bit. But clearly, ladies and gentlemen, I'm showing you the artificial intelligence in the computer, and I have no doubt that's what it means. But let me show you what it means through the connection of Revelation 21 verses 23. So if you'll read with me, it says both Ezekiel and Revelation describe the same future city, a place where God is fully present and provides everything from within. So there's no need for temples, priests, or even the sun and moon to give light. This points to transhumanism because the city no longer depends on external sources of power or authority, but becomes self-contained, illuminated from within, like humanity integrated with its own intelligence and systems. This is where the cell phone, think of your cell phone, what is the next stage of the cell phone? You're not going to have to hold it anymore. It's going to be internal. Okay? This is what the age of Aquarius is calling for. This is what it looks like moving forward, and the Bible had already forecasted it. It's a spell book. It's a playbook, and its stories are allegorical. But at the same time, we're seeing the transhumanism play out on the world stage. So we have this, the New Testament, coming from Jesus himself, telling you his kingdom is not part of Pisces, it's part of Aquarius. Follow him into the house of Aquarius, and this is where the Titan gets renewed into the Neos, the neon city. It gets renewed into this. And maybe this is all you're going to see. I mean, when it says the sun's going to go out, well, is that literal? I don't know. But let's talk about now the alchemology. Alchemology is numerology and alchemy. And we see that we have New Jerusalem giving us a total value of 65. I go right back to chemistry again, like I did here. And we have this element terbium. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, you don't even have to know what terbium is. You just look at the icon chosen by the Royal Society of Chemistry. I didn't pick this. And to think that they were premeditating all of this, I don't buy it. The reason why there's a CD here is because of this. It says, the compact disc symbol reflects the use of the element terbium in the manufacture of the first rewritable compact discs. Now, this is not an opinion. This is a fact that the rewritable compact discs had terbium used in the origins of them. Well, the clue beyond that is that this CD is the zodiac wheel. Can you not see this overlaid onto that? I can, and I don't think this is trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. No, this is the clue. The New Jerusalem is the age of Aquarius that sits on this compact disc, and it is rewritable. So the new Titan is going to get rewritten into the age of Aquarius, with or without your permission. It doesn't matter what you think or I think, and even if we remove religion, organized religion, and I don't even play with that stuff. I just observe it. I think it's absolutely fascinating. It's a spell book, yes, but there is a ton of people that do use it, follow it, prophesy with it, prayer, all that stuff. And it is a playbook about transhumanism. And if you can't see that now, I don't know what to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to refute this and tell me that I'm crazy, well, you can do whatever you want, but clearly the signs are here. The signs are here. So let's do the theological alchemy of the Old Testament Ezekiel 48 verses 35. Again, this is the New Jerusalem, the city. And it's cadmium and bromine. Now again, these are just clues to go deeper. Because you're like, what does cadmium and bromine have to do with all of this? Well, again, we just keep going with this. What happens when you do the molar mass? This is simply adding up these two. 112 and 79 gives us what? 191. So the Old Testament talking about this city, this future city, through alchemy gives us the 191, and the 191 is iridium's element, isotope. Iridium comes from the goddess called Iris. The iris is the eye, you see. The eye. And the eye and iridium tie to the double helix. This right here is not only the fish bladder. It's not only the figure 8. It's not only that, ladies and gentlemen. It's not only the NFL football. It's not only the mitre hat that the priests wear. It's not only the Vesica Piscis, the portal, the solar and lunar eclipses. But now we have the iridium, and ladies and gentlemen, there's the connection. See, you just go, it's helpful to have these words memorized, but this is the word for fish in Greek. This is the ichthys. Remember, Jesus tells you, my kingdom is not part of this world. That he came during the age of Pisces. Whether he was real or not is irrelevant. He tells you that he wants you to follow him into the house with a man bearing a pitcher of water. He wants to take the fish, and what do fish live in? Water. Even though Aquarius is an air sign, traditionally, he's pouring out water, and Aquarius sits in all around the water. It's next to Pisces, Cetus the whale. It sits in the water. Now you're talking about pouring out the knowledge. And I know thyself. And that's what Aquarius's age is all about. Aquarius is not about just believe and just trust me and trust the church and salvation and faith. No, it's about knowing now. I know. I don't believe anymore. I know. But the fish is tied to the iridium and the fish. There's the fish right there. This is the ichthys. This is undeniable that this is what this is. The ichthys. It's right there. And when you connect these, and I get it from Ezekiel 48 verses 35, which is the scripture from the Old Testament talking about Revelation 21 verses 23, and the city not having to need the sun and moon anymore because the light of the Lamb is going to illuminate it, and the Lamb's tied to Jesus. Well, now you're beginning to start to see how all this stuff points to transhumanism. Well, there's more. So I knew that 191 from iridium, I knew it was a prime number in mathematics. And I knew that the 43rd prime number is tied to the serpent. The word serpent in Hebrew, nahas, is 43. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. And you see, 191 is exactly the markers for human growth hormone. If you've ever done HGH, you would know that HGH is composed of 191 amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks for proteins and for the building blocks of the body, the building blocks of tissue and bones. So when you take this narration, you take this idea and you move it into this, and 191 being tied to the serpent, and the serpent is right there, folks. You can't miss the serpent being tied to DNA. And now the serpent's tied to the fish. It's tied to the fish bladder. The fish bladder is right there. And Jesus being tied to the Old Testament and Ezekiel. And Luke 22 verses 10 is talking about the New Jerusalem. And ladies and gentlemen, this 43 goes back to chemistry to give us the clue, and it's this element technetium. 191 is the 43rd prime number. Technetium means artificial. Artificial. I'm going to go back up here, ladies and gentlemen. This right here, all of this is artificial, meaning it's made by the hands of man and woman. But since we are not in control of this reality, we are just being used to create this reality. This is artificial light. Artificial light, ladies and gentlemen. Artificial. The artificial fish. That's why this is the fish is coming through right here. It's the artificial fish. Are you seeing this, ladies and gentlemen? What does it mean? It means cyborg. Artificial is the cyborg component to the age of Aquarius. Is it going to last? Because there is obviously the book of Daniel talking about the iron and clay not mixing. Is it going to last? No, nothing lasts. It's only temporary. It's going to be a long time, and are we ever going to see this in our lifetime? Those of you listening to this, are we ever going to see this position? I don't know. But I do know that this right here means artificial fish. That's what it means. And there's the DNA strand. And the DNA strand is tied to the serpent. Okay? This is real science. This is not my opinion. This is real science. And this is real mathematics. And this is real language. The serpent is tied to our deoxyribonucleic acid. That's what it's tied to. The 191. And this is, the meaning of it is artificial fish. Man-made human beings. Robots. That's what this means, folks. All found from the chemistry of the theological verse of Ezekiel 48 verses 35. This is the value of chemistry. The value of it. And there's no denying this. If you don't think this is a thing, well then I would ask you to prove it wrong. So, let's get into the last topic now. The mark. You know the mark of the beast. And it's already here. Here it is, Revelation 13 verses 17. Transhumanism. Look what it says. No man may buy or sell. It doesn't say a few, a percentage. It says nobody. You can't do anything through commerce without the mark. What is the mark? What is it? Well, here it is in Greek. The mark is got a value numerically. We use the modern coin Greek because that's what the New Testament was written in. 57. I go right back to the periodic table and bam, there it is, lanthanum. And the clue is it means to lie hidden. What's lying hidden? Inside of you. This is the icon chosen for lanthanum, the camera. Well, now you're getting into the biometric scanning, ladies and gentlemen. It's already happening. This is already happening. In the U.S., Whole Foods, it's already happening. Amazon, it's already happening. This is already happening. In China, it's already happening. This is going to replace the cell phone. As it says right here, the software allows users to ditch their smartphones or cards just by hovering their hands over a sensor. What does that alleviate? It alleviates the burden of losing your phone. You know what happens when you lose your phone? You freak out. Oh my God, all those photos I got on there. Some of you got you got some weird photos on your phone. But some private photos, you don't have to worry about that. This is moving to precision. The less you carry, the less you worry about. The next age for the cell phone, it will be internal. You won't have to carry it around anymore. It's moving, and this is just my theory. The reason why the nanoparticles and the spraying of the clouds and the sky and all that is, it's metal. And the metal, we've all breathed it in. We've all breathed in the nanoparticles, and the nanoparticles are already inside your body, and that will make this technology work. That's my opinion, by the way. It's theoretical, but that's my opinion. So those of you that are mad about the spraying of this and that in the sky, I get it. But remember that those people that are spraying it, they're breathing it in too. And I have a feeling that it was part of this that's coming out. All of this. It's here. It's out. It's coming. And there is no stopping it unless some monumental, massive implosion happens. It's coming to fruition. It's already here, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to just throw this out there. Those of you that do trading for cryptos, this is a coin that's really interesting. It's called the World Coin. And this is a coin that's tied to this biometric reading. And so, and I'm not here to tell you what to trade. I'm not here to tell you what to buy. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. I'm just here to show you what this technology is tied to. This technology is tied to this World Coin. And of course, who's the backer? Sam Altman. And we already did the OpenAI decode, scripted reality 31. Okay? So this World Coin, right now, it's priced at 58 cents. It could be a pretty big gainer in the future, but I'm clearly giving you my opinion. I don't know. These are volatile right now. I'm just telling you that this coin may be a coin you might want to look into because it's tied to this technology, which is going to become more dominant on the world stage. There is no question that this is coming. This is tied to the Brave New World. This is tied to perhaps either the Kali Yuga, the Iron Age. That's the big thought here. You know, the ages, the gold, silver, bronze, iron. Is this the Kali Yuga Iron stage? I would think so. Well, the last slide I'll show you, and the connecting point, is that the word mark is 57, which it not just ties to the protons of lanthanum, but the isotope, the stable isotope of iron. And this is the Iron Age, folks. We are seemingly in Aquarius being tied to the Iron Age. I know that you hear a lot of these gurus saying that we've moved into the Bronze Age. Well, time will tell. Time will tell, but the Iron Age, and this kind of gets cemented here by going back to Ezekiel 48 verses 35, and there it is. There's the Yod, the Yahweh, 26, iron. Iron is the element of our blood. Iron is in your blood. The mark is going to be inside your blood. If you go read about how this technology works, it picks up on your skin and the veins, and I would imagine the blood flow. And again, I have a feeling that the nanoparticles that we've been breathing in, perhaps, it's already preparing all of us for this, what's coming. And remember, you can't buy or sell without it. So I know some of you, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. You may not have a choice, folks. You may not have a choice. But time will tell. Time will tell. And, you know, these smart cities, maybe there'll be cities outside of the smart cities where people don't have to use this kind of stuff. I know that a lot of you say, yeah, that's me. Well, you know, time will tell. We shall see what will happen. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Transhumanism Decoded. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope it gave you some things to think about. Remember, these are my opinions and truths. These are discoveries to show you. It's up to you to make the final decision on what it is that you want to adopt as your truth. Not believing. Believing is garbage. We're done with believing. You got to know. You got to know what's going on. And clearly transhumanism, the man merging with machine, woman merging with machine, it's already here. It's already happening. It's already happening. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.